All right, everybody, buckle up because today we are diving headfirst into Dune.
Ooh.
We are getting seriously film nerdy today and dissecting the final shooting script of the 2020 Dune movie. Forget just watching it, we are going to uncover all the juicy secrets this script reveals about the characters, the politics, and the totally captivating world of Arrakis. And to help us navigate this epic landscape, I've got an expert co-pilot with me today.
Thanks for having me. What really strikes me about this script is how it uses these little details to build this massive, complex universe. It's like every other line gives you this peek behind the curtain of this society that's like teetering on the edge of massive change.
Okay, so let's just jump right into it. The script throws us right in with Paul Atreides and these seriously vivid dreams he's having about Arrakis. And I mean, not just like vibes, but actual people, that hardcore desert, even the spice itself.
And it's super important to remember that these dreams, especially the ones with the Fremen, the spice, and that mysterious Chinese, they all happen to Paul before his family even knows they're going to Arrakis.
So it's not just him stressing about the news or anything. There's something way deeper, almost like prophetic going on. And then it gets even wilder when Paul dreams that Duncan Idaho dies in battle, clean-shaven. And Duncan, being Duncan, just jokes that it can't be true because he shaves for no man. He just keeps it lighthearted, even with all this potential doom hanging over them.
Totally. And that tells you so much about their characters right off the bat. You've got Paul totally burdened by these visions, and then you've got Duncan facing the unknown with humor. Like right away, you see this contrast between this weight of responsibility and this like knack for finding levity in a really tough situation.
For sure. Heavy stuff. And then the script shifts gears to Duke Leto accepting Arrakis. He knows it's a death trap, but he also sees it as an opportunity to make life better for the people who live there. It's this huge conflict of duty versus danger.
Absolutely. And it really plays into this recurring theme of duty and legacy being everything to the Atreides family. Like Leto even mentions wanting to be a pilot, which is a total 180 from the leadership that's being basically thrust upon him. It kind of mirrors his own father's path.
Yeah. Yeah, the sense of responsibility just hangs over everything. And then, bam, we move to Paul's hardcore combat training with Gurney Halleck. And Gurney, he's a total badass warrior. Doesn't go easy on Paul at all. He even warns Paul about the Harkonnens, how unbelievably brutal and ruthless they are.
Yeah, that warning from Gurney is a lot more than just advice. It really highlights this real danger for the Atreides, taking control of Arrakis from people who ruled it so brutally.
Yeah, it's serious business. And to really underline that point, in walks the Reverend Mother, Gaius Helen Morheim. And this isn't just a social visit. This is a Bene Gesserit powerhouse coming to put Paul through the ringer.
Right. That Gom Jabbar test is such a pivotal scene in the script. I mean, it reveals the Bene Gesserit influence and hints at Paul's potential.
Seriously, picture this. A green metal cube that causes unimaginable pain. And if you fail the test, you die. Because the Bene Gesserit believe that someone who's powerful but can't control themselves is too dangerous to live.
Intense. Right.
Yeah, and it gets even more interesting when you think about why they're doing all of this. The Bene Gesserit have been breeding for generations, trying to create someone with extraordinary abilities, the Kwisatz Haderach, and Paul might be it.
And here's the kicker. Paul's mom, Jessica, is Bene Gesserit too. But she defied orders by training Paul in their ways.
Yeah, that was a bold move.
She saw his potential and took a huge risk.
It just shows Jessica's inner conflict between her loyalty to the Bene Gesserit and her faith in her son. It's a tension that plays out through the entire script.
Totally. And then scene change. We're on Arrakis. Talk about a change of scenery from lush, beautiful Caladan to a harsh, unforgiving desert.
Yeah, the script does a great job at building suspense during their arrival on Arrakis. You've got these welcoming rituals, crowds chanting, at least on Al Gaib, but there's always this undercurrent of threat. Oh, and the heat. The script makes sure you understand how intense the heat is, like it's a character itself.
Right, and there are these ominous signs everywhere, like Hawat, the master of whispers, warns that the welcome is all for show. It's just a holdover from Harkonnen rule.
And then there's that gift from Shadout Mapes, a Krisk knife, which isn't just any knife, it's a sacred Fremen weapon.
Right, it creates this instant link between Jessica and Paul and the Fremen.
Almost like foreshadowing.
For sure, it's a sign of faith, but also a symbol of danger to come.
And then to top it off, they find severed fingers, a message from Baron Harkonnen, like a reminder to everyone of who's really in charge. And speaking of the Baron, the script doesn't hold back on showing how filthy rich the Harkonnens got from the spice.
Their greed is palpable, like they've completely drained Arrakis and his people just to line their own pockets.
It's awful.
Yeah.
And it's around this point that we start to really understand the Fremen and how deeply connected they are to the desert. Duncan, reporting back after surviving this encounter, talks about their strength, the hidden sieges, and how they've basically mastered this brutal environment.
It's like they're a part of the desert itself.
Yeah.
Perfectly adapted, like they're intrinsically linked to it. And their survival depends on understanding the desert's secrets.
Yeah.
Like one of the biggest ones, the sandworms.
Yeah, those things are massive. Duncan even mentions almost getting swallowed whole by one. It's crazy how skilled the Fremen are to, live alongside these things. And speaking of the Fremen, we meet Stilgar.
Oh, yeah, he is such a cool character.
Their first meeting is really interesting.
It kind of highlights that clash between the Atreides and the Fremen cultures, right?
Especially that spitting ritual.
Yeah, can you imagine?
Being spat on as a greeting. For the Fremen, it's like a sign of respect, but the Atreides, they're obviously caught off guard. And don't forget, Stilgar actually says something to Paul in Shakobsa, which is the Fremen language, and Paul totally doesn't understand him at that point.
Yeah, it's like another of those little hints that there's way more going on than we realize at first.
Oh, right. Exactly. And then we're right in the action of spice harvesting.
The lifeblood of Arrakis, literally.
The script describes this near disaster with the spice crawler,
Oh, yeah, crazy.
with those giant sandworms always a threat. And it's actually Paul's premonition, maybe from the spice, who knows, that ends up saving them. He gets this glimpse of the future and gives them just enough warning to get out of there. But there's this really interesting detail. Liet Kynes, who's the
planetary ecologist, yeah.
Right, she has a really interesting reaction to the whole sandworm situation.
Yeah, her reverence for the worm is super important. Like, it kind of points to this deeper connection with the Fremen, right? And this unique way they coexist with the sandworms. Because they're not just monsters to them. They're the source of the spice, which is like everything to Arrakis.
Yeah.
It's this totally different perspective from how the Atreides and Harkonnens view the worms.
Yeah, for sure. It's not just about profit for the Fremen. And then things really start to unravel.
Everything starts to go south.
That suspicion, that feeling of dread, it all builds up to this brutal attack on the Atreides.
And the betrayal's like multi-layered.
Oh, don't even remind me.
You've got the Harkonnens, obviously. But then the worst part, it comes from inside, Dr. Yu.
I know, it's heartbreaking. This trusted family doctor who's known Paul since he was a kid orchestrates their downfall.
But his motivations are so tragic, right?
I mean, I get it, but still.
The Harkonnens have his wife hostage. They're torturing her to make sure he cooperates.
Oh, it's awful.
It really shows how far someone will go to protect the people they love, even if it means going against their own values.
For sure. But I have to give it to him. Ewan does give Duke Leto a chance for revenge. A hidden poison tooth that could potentially kill the Baron.
Oh, wow. I forgot about that detail.
Yeah, it's like this tiny act of defiance against impossible odds.
It's crazy to think about what's going through his head at that moment.
Totally.
And so that leaves Paul and Jessica escaping into the deadliest desert imaginable, with only Kynes to guide them.
It's terrifying. They're in a damaged ornithopter, surrounded by danger, with Harkonnen forces chasing after them. Talk about a fight for survival.
And remember, Paul's visions are getting more intense now. He sees this future ruled by this, terrifying religious movement using his name.
Can you imagine the pressure?
That's a lot to carry.
He's not just running for his life at this point. He's trying to outrun destiny itself. And then, the crash.
Oh, man, here we go.
The Fremen encounter, the tension.
Everything changes for Paul in this moment.
He's completely out of his element, facing his own fear.
And the reality of having to take a life.
Which he's never done before. But suddenly, he's thrown into this duel with Jameis.
Who's a skilled Fremen warrior.
Yeah, and the script really emphasizes the contrast in their fighting styles. Jameis is brutal, direct.
While Paul is more calculated, hesitant.
Which makes sense. He's trained but never actually had to kill someone before.
It's a complete transformation for Paul. He's forced to make an impossible choice. And that choice, that moment, it changes everything.
Yeah, there's no going back after that.
The script really leaves us hanging.
Literally and figuratively, right?
Paul and Jessica, stripped of everything, accepting the Fremen way, embracing the prophecy and all the danger that comes with it.
I mean, talk about a serious cliffhanger. The guy is caught between this terrifying destiny and trying to make his own path.
And the script doesn't make it easy on us, does it?
Not at all.
It makes you wonder, can someone like Paul, with his huge destiny hanging over him, can he ever really choose his own path?
Exactly. And it's not even just if he can control the future, but should he even try?
Right.
The script definitely doesn't shy away from how dangerous power can be, especially when it's tied to religion.
For sure, and especially with the Fremen.
Oh yeah, they're a whole other level.
This group of people who are super resourceful, deeply spiritual, but also fiercely independent.
Yeah, how's that gonna go?
Right.
How is their culture, their beliefs going to shape Paul?
And on the flip side, how will his presence, his power, change them?
It's like a recipe for either massive change or total disaster.
For sure. And speaking of disaster, we can't forget about the Harkonnens.
Oh, they are bad news.
They might be in control right now, but something tells me they're not done yet.
Not even close.
Like, remember that scene with the severed fingers?
Brutal.
That's classic Harkonnen, just straight up cruelty. And with the Emperor kind of lurking in the background, pulling the strings.
Oh yeah, he's gonna get involved.
This whole political landscape is about to explode.
Seriously, it makes you think, what's the Emperor's endgame here?
So real.
Is he gonna use Paul or crush him before he gets too powerful?
And what about Jessica, right?
Oh yeah, she's in deep now.
She defied her Bene Gesserit sisters, putting all her eggs in Paul's basket.
Huge gamble.
What if it backfires? Or will she end up being the key to surviving everything that's coming?
So many questions, and this script just throws gasoline on the fire.
It really does.
It feels like we've only scratched the surface of this whole world.
It's the best feeling when you finish something and you just want more.
The mark of a truly great story.
Exactly. You're left wanting to dive deeper, uncover all of Arrakis' secrets.
Well, I don't know about you, but I am ready to revisit Dune after this.
I know, me too.
Time to reread the book, maybe finally watch the movie.
It's an experience you won't soon forget.
And who knows, it might even make you think about choice, destiny, and the nature of power in your own life.
That's deep.
Now there's something to think about.
Right.
Keep exploring, keep asking those big questions, and as always, remember, the spice must flow. Until next time on The Deep Dive.